Welcome back. Let's have an example on our loops. Being at a restaurant, the client is asking for empty tables. So let's have our first variable, empty table, and let's have input. The client is asking between quotations, are there empty tables? Our question mark. And the program guides the user to use yes or no. And to guarantee that yes or no are all in small letters, even if the user attempted something else. So let's have our variable empty table to be equal to the empty table dot lower and have our brackets here. This means that even if the user enters yes or no with any capital letters, the program will convert it all into lower case. And we start our if loop here. So if the variable empty table is equal to yes, the string yes, we will have the following lines executed. Let's think in another way. Let's make sure that yes has the type of string. So let's print here the type of the variable empty table. And before having our run, let's convert this last line here into a command. And let's have our run. Are there empty tables? And here we have the type of yes, a string. Let's convert it into a Boolean using this double equal sign and between quotations yes, and let's test the type now. So let's have our run. Are there empty tables? Just type yes. And the class here or the type of empty table is a Boolean. So once we used empty table as a Boolean, you must change our if statement here. We type if empty table and just cut out all this in case empty table is a Boolean. Let's have our statements in the if block here. So the number of persons entering the restaurant to have this table equals integer and between brackets input between quotations how many persons. Let's have another variable of the minimum charge and let the program ask float input between quotations what is the minimum charge. Have our question mark and just leave a space here. Let's have a new variable to compute the total charge here. Charge equals the number of persons or persons here multiplied by the minimum charge. And let's print this total. So let's print using our f string total charge, which has the variable of charge equals and between the curled brackets the variable charge. All these statements are executed if empty table is equal to the Boolean true. But what if you don't have any empty tables? Let's have our else here. Print sorry. Between quotations, sorry. And let's execute our program. Are there any empty tables? If no, it just prints sorry. Let's have this print the type deleted. Let's have rerun here. Now let's have empty table equals yes. Then it asks how many persons. Let's have 5 and the minimum charge to be say 25, and the total charge is 125. So let's here simply have, instead of the if else, a while, which means as long as empty table equals true, while empty table, and of course we'll remove this else. What do we really expect now? If we enter a no for this question, then empty table will be false. We'll have the Boolean false. And while empty table is true, is not available. Empty table is false, and therefore the block in the while loop will not be executed and the program will end. If we enter a yes here, now while empty table is true, and the block inside the while loop will be executed. But there is nothing to end this loop. Let's try. It will be an infinite loop. Let's have our run to see what we're saying. If we enter no, which means we assign the empty table to be a false Boolean, the program is finished without entering the while loop. But if we have another run here and we enter a yes, the while loop will be entered, and we have our first question, how many persons? Let's have 5. Minimum charge, let's say 25. It executes the value of charge and prints it here. 125. But it doesn't go out of the while loop, and that's why it asks again how many persons, which is the first statement in the while loop. And it will keep asking and so on. There must be a way to get out of this while loop. One of the ways here is to change the variable empty loop to the Boolean false whenever we want to get out of the loop. So let's have those two statements copied here inside the while loop. Let's have our tab here and copy those statements, and let's say empty table equals, are there more empty tables? And guide the user to use a yes or no, and change the type of empty table to a Boolean. Now if we print no, the while loop will be broken and the program ends. Let's try again. Let's have our run here. This is the first question, empty tables, so let's have a yes here. The while loop is entered and statements are executed. So how many persons? 5. The minimum charge 25. And if it says, are there more empty tables? If you want to exit the while loop, simply print no to have empty table as a false Boolean. and the program gets out of the while loop and finishes. This concludes with our example.